All right, everybody. Good morning. So I said we'll be starting exactly 8:50. So I want us to get started. But just to start on a slightly lighter note, is there anybody that wants to tell us their name? I just need like 5 to 10 persons. Just let me know your name and what you do and what you are interested in learning today. Okay. So I want to see hands. And okay, sir. Can I get more hands? Your name, what you do. Okay, the lady. All right. Okay, excellent. So I heard Steven work with a movie production company. I want to learn about editing. Okay. Okay, color grading. Okay, we'll touch that also. Video editing. Excellent. All right. So I see we have creative people around us, and this is more like an upgrade class. So I'm going to. I might be. You want to say something? Okay. So as the class is going on, okay, she wants to introduce herself. Esosa, okay, ma'am. NGO, okay. Content creating, okay. So let me quickly introduce myself and why I'm here. So I work with the Winlos team, and as you may all know, it's founded by Reverend Oizo Jekere and the wife, Anwelio Jekere, and their skits now, the Windows films is about 11 years and counting. So their hit movie is The Prophet Suddenly, which the part 2 is coming out this year anyway. So they're currently shooting it actually. So I'm here in the capacity of their video editor and color grading specialist. So I've actually color graded several movies for them, but the editing is actually done by their chief cinematographer, who is Dwayne. So he was here some minutes ago, and if there is time, because they are currently shooting, if there's time, he will still come and tell us a few things about editing skits. Because the way you edit skits, the way you edit movies, the way you edit promotional videos or commercial videos are different. Okay, so what I do, so my name is Igbonosa Osayotin Isaac, and I'm a creative person. I'm a filmmaker, cinematographer, drone pilot, colorist, amongst other things. I also tutor online, and most of the things I tutor is video editing. So I have a YouTube channel, Blast Creative Academy. If you want to follow me, you'll also find some training videos there. We are going to be doing more interactive sessions. Before we go into Capcut, this is what the splash screen of Capcut looks like. So the splash screen is the first interface that comes up, and if you're on your phone, it will look different. So we are going to use the desktop version for the purpose of this class, but then I also have a flash drive. So if you are using your computer and you want to get the files I'll be working with, I think as time goes on, I'll copy them into a flash and I can pass it along, but so that you can follow along more closely, or follow along with the videos that are already existing on your computer. Now, to get started, let us talk a little bit about the purpose of video editing. Can anybody just tell me, is the mic, okay, I will the mic. Anybody just tell me what's in your field now? Someone talked about making skits. So what is the purpose of video editing in that field of skit making? Anybody that would like to throw some light on that? Any hands? So she said it's to fine-tune the different aspects of the videos, the sound, the media files, and all that to achieve the purpose that we're trying to achieve. And you should always have in mind a story. So when you are trying to edit a video, when you're trying to make a video, before you go ahead and jump into your software, you should have in mind, what story are you trying to tell? So is it going to be inspirational? Is it going to be educational? Is it going to be funny, entertainment? So you need to have that goal in mind. So that will help you to start to research on your media files. So there's one important tip I want us to take away from here is, as editors, you should always be researching and gathering resources. So resources such as sounds, sound effects, music, video clips that you would use as your B-roll, titles, animations, and all that. Why? Because you want to keep your videos looking fresh at all times. right? So if you are someone that is used to one background sound and you keep using one background sound, after a while your video gets boring and repetitive. So you want to first of all, in fact, once you meet a fellow editor, ask them, what do you have that I can get? Have your flash drive and your hard drive with you so that you can start copying, because you may be amazed the kind of collection of resources people gather. So that means do not just, when it's time for a project, you now start going online to get sounds every time. Let it be that you have collections on an hard drive of sounds. So when I say sounds, sounds could include your background music. So it could be something, there are different genres of sound. So I have somewhere I gather some resources. Let me see if I can just show you. So I have this folder. It's just one of many. And I call this my sound library. So I have a sound library. As you can see stuff like sound effects here, atmospheric sounds, cinematic transitions, glitch sounds, and it's good to also organize them. So there are times you want to transition with a whoosh sound, right? If you want to go and take 15 minutes to go and download a whoosh sound every time you need it. So it's good to have at least the essential sounds that you need. And speaking of sounds, you also want to have sounds that are copyright free, especially if you intend to monetize these videos and post them online. YouTube will flag your video if you decide to use the latest Charlie Poppy or any popular song. So even if it's not popular, what you can do is, before you post a video on YouTube, for example, and you have a sound that you're not sure if you have the right to use or not, before posting the real video, post an unlisted version of the video or private version of the video and give it a day on YouTube, right? Let YouTube is going to run through the video and tell you if there's any copyright claim on it. Then it will tell you the sound that is copyright protected. Then you now know to change that. Okay, so you can just make a random video and just put a bunch of sounds that you have and just drop it on YouTube unlisted. Do you understand what I mean by unlisted posting on YouTube? Yes. You don't understand? Okay, so when you want to post on YouTube, there are three options to publish. You have to publish in public, unlisted, or private. So if you publish as public, it goes straight to the internet and people start viewing it. The issue with that is, do that and people view it and your views are counting and the traffic is growing and you find issues with the video and you're forced to take it down, you would have offended those people and you would have lost views. Okay, so you want to either publish as unlisted first and let YouTube run its algorithm through the video, then decide if the video is clean and good to go, okay, before you now make it public. So that's a very important tip to people that are going to be posting content online. YouTube also has a way of publishing as a schedule, so that also helps. So if maybe I'm posting a video today, but this morning, I know people are at work this morning and I don't want to post this morning, so I'd rather post when people are back from work, so that's maybe 7 p.m. So I can schedule a video to go live by 7 p.m. It's called Premiere. So when you click on the schedule option, you will be able to, so you are posting it this morning, but you are setting the date to a future time, which will be 7 p.m. for example, like in the case of this my example. That way, between now and 7 p.m., if there's any issue with it, YouTube will let you know that there are some copyright claims, and then you can cancel the schedule and fix it, re-upload, and go again. So that's just one thing that would really help you if you want to be posting on YouTube, to avoid copyright claims that are unnecessary. So let's get started with this class. Now, I'm just going to click on new project so we can get to the interface. This is our Capcut interface, and we are doing this on Capcut, but I'll show you other video editing softwares so you don't think that if you learn this one, you cannot use the other ones. So my favorite is DaVinci Resolve. So I'm opening DaVinci Resolve Studio, but the reason why we decided to have this as a Capcut class, so that those with their phones can get Capcut and follow along. But I'm just going to also show you that when you learn Capcut or when you learn DaVinci Resolve, you can apply the same knowledge in either software. Okay? So, but when we get to color grading, I would definitely have to use this one because this is the best for color grading. My friend there is nodding because it's true. So let me just open this. for the sake of this class. So, um, okay, let it. But DaVinci Resolve, unlike Capcut, requires a slightly higher graphics computer. So if you are using a more of a regular desktop, more of an office workspace kind of computer, you may want to stick with Capcut because it's not so graphics intensive and it still does the job. So this is what um, a typical video editing interface would look like. And I will just show you some of the similar elements. One thing we always have is a screen where we preview stuff. Okay, so we can call this a preview window. That means whatever we have down here on our timeline, so we have another screen called the timeline, another section called the timeline. So whatever we are editing on our timeline and cutting our timeline, we get to preview it in the preview window. Then one very important panel that is in every software is a media pool, or basically somewhere you drop your clips in. So it will look something like this. So the first thing is you need to gather resources, and I get my resources most of the time from a platform called pixels.com. So it's called Pexels, Pexels.com. Well, what you can mostly get here is free stock footage. So stock footage are just like stock pictures. These are pre-made clips to match different kind of genre, whatever you're trying to produce. So you mostly use them as B-rolls. So let's say you are making a movie about you're making a short film about getting started with your day, you know, the breakfast and all that, and you want to have a shot of someone maybe making coffee. I think I'm going to use them, man. So you can go to a stock footage website like Pexels. So you can take note of that for free, royalty-free stock footage, and you can just go and get some B-rolls. Okay. This is one of maybe somebody reading the Bible. Okay, so you can just attach them to your clip. Of course, you don't want to use the one that has white hands because you're not white. But so that's what a platform like this is useful for. Okay, back to CapCut. Okay, so similar to the other software, I'm just going to drag some clips into this. So if you're on your phone, same thing. Okay, if you're on your phone, you click on the import. Let me bring up my phone and see if I have CapCut. So when you're on your phone, anybody here with CapCut on their phone? Let's wave it. All right. So I'll be working on my phone too. So you have CapCut on your phone. This one is asking me what I'm using it for. I'll just say skip. So you click on new project, right? Like we did. And okay, it's going to ask you to start putting in your media files. So you just choose the videos you want to import. So it's similar to what we just did here. So select some clips and click on add. Okay, so that's how you get your media files into the software. Now, you've not copied anything. You're only just telling CapCut that these are the files I would like to work with, and these are where to find them on my drive. So by importing stuff into any video editing interface, the files have not left their original destination. What that means is if you mistakenly move those files or change their name, you start having missing clip notification. So if you are editing like what we saw, where you see like a red sign or anything like an error message, just know that the computer can no longer find those files. So most of these softwares will give you the ability to relink if it's missing. Okay, you see where you see link to media. So if there are missing files, this is how you would relink them. All right. So I'm going to, now by just clicking on any of the media files, it will begin to preview it. So this screen now doubles for both preview, to preview source, right? And also to view your timeline, depending on where you are. Some softwares will separate it, but this is in one. What that actually looks like in practical is, if I were to drag other clips down into, so I'm just basically dragging it. This is not the best way to do it. Okay, I'm just dragging down. So right now what I've done is I've taken the clips from my media pool, okay, down to my timeline. So again, the interface, so that we are clear for those that don't get it yet, because I did it before in DaVinci. This is where we import media. So you can call this a media pool or some sort of import window. This is where we preview media. So we're either going to preview the source, which is this media pool, or we are previewing the timeline, which is down here. Okay, so down here is the timeline. Now, just by having your media, your pictures, your videos, your audio, you can do a basic edit. Once you know how to bring this in, arrange them in the right order and sequence to tell a story. Now, we may not be able to tell a consistent story. Okay, you have a question? Good, that's your first page. So you're clicking on new project. Okay, have you clicked on new project? Yes. Yes, then you click on videos. Click on them. I've not marked them. It goes back there. When you click on it, let me look at my phone. So when you click on the videos, right? You see add. There's a button that says add. So don't press cancel, press add. Okay. When you click on add, you now have your timeline and your preview screen. Okay. So for the phone, it just gives you the two important things you need to see, which is your timeline and preview screen. And down here, you have the features and the tools that we are going to be looking at. So I can see starting with edit, audio, text, overlay, and effect. So now down to the right here is another panel that we can call the details panel. Premiere Pro calls it the effect controls panel. DaVinci Resolve will call it the inspector panel. Here we can simply call it the details panel, but it serves multiple roles. For example, if I were to click on a clip here, it's going to give me the details of the clip, and I believe this is a good place to get started. So when you click on clips like this, you want to know the kind of files you are working with. So let's just take a little bit of time to check what kind of files we have. First of all, it's showing us the directory where it's located. So it's telling me it's under the C drive and all these folders and all these folders and all these folders. Okay. Okay, question. Yes. Yes. Okay. No. So once you get Capcut desktop, for those of you that have your computers at home, right? Once you get Capcut desktop, this is the format it always displays on. All right. So, so by clicking on any of your clip, you see the details of the clip. Why is that important? For example, though I'm trying to see if I can find resolution here, which I can't, but I know this is a 4K clip because I know the clip I imported. 4K is 3160 by, we can actually verify, I don't have to memorize it, but HD is 1080, 1920 by 1080. Anybody familiar with these numbers? Okay. And what those number actually fall back to an aspect ratio called 16:9. And that's a popular aspect ratio for television screens, broadcast, and all that. But these days, movies and cinema theaters work with a wider aspect ratio. Even newer phones work with a wider aspect ratio. So if you use a 16:9, you may have black screen on the edges. So, but that's just by the way. So, if you are making a video, a question you should ask yourself before creating a new project. So right now, Capcut did not tell us anything about. Well, we click on new projects already. So when creating a new project, you need to ask yourself, what device am I making this video for, and what platform am I making this video for? So for example, if you are making a video for platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, um, YouTube Shorts, you know that it has to be a vertical video. And yes, so a vertical video would be, instead of 16:9, that would be 9:16. So 9:16 would look like this, vertical. So the longer side and shorter side. While 16:9 would look like this. So now, just to buttress, 4K, I'm going to assume many people will not work with 4K because maybe your cameras do not shoot 4K, or you're trying to conserve space. And if you have a very clear camera on 1080p, you would still have nice results. So let's just stay within the HD, which is 1080p. And YouTube and most phones will still stream on 1080. So speaking of, is there any question? Okay. So since we're talking about orientation, let's look at some of these clips that are not in the right orientation. So if you look at this clip, it's in vertical form. Okay, so this is the type of clip that we call the 9:16. So this is 9. That's the height is 16 and the width is 9. In ratio, 9:16 is our vertical aspect ratio. So just have that in mind because you are going to be making videos of both. So one quick recommendation is, if you have a YouTube channel and you're going to be posting on YouTube or Facebook, you might want to shoot your videos in your landscape form, and then after editing and you're done with that video, you can bring it back to CapCut in a portrait project, and then just reframe your shots and export again. Was that confusing? It was confusing. Okay. Okay. So what I'm saying is, a video like this was how I shot my clip, right? And I intend to post it on YouTube as well as TikTok and other platforms. Instead of shooting it vertical, which will be difficult to make landscape, you shoot it landscape because you can easily just crop this to vertical. By the time you crop it, you may now end up having just this frame of her. You understand now? Okay? So you want to shoot, because as editors, you need to have an idea of the shooting process. Even though you may not necessarily be the one shooting, but you need to be able to communicate with the cinematographer and the person shooting to know, okay, please shoot it in landscape because this is what I will need it for. So they don't go and shoot portrait videos for you and you need it on YouTube. You need to have that rapport with your content. So I'm actually just taking time to establish some of the foundations. So we already talked about dimensions, which was the resolution of the files. I would say 1920 by 1080 is the standard we should just have in mind. And this is our HD resolution. Let's see if CapCut will give us the permission to make changes to that. Okay, so in CapCut, down here, you see where you have ratio. So CapCut, let me see if I can zoom in. So CapCut down here allows us to make changes to these ratios. Okay, so you can see our 16:9, which is our landscape aspect ratio. So if you shoot your video and you edit it in 16:9, you can export it. Then, like I said, you can create a new project and take it to 9:16. And then you crop your video to match and export for other platforms. Okay. So for cinemas and other longer ones, they use this 2.35:1 or 2:1. So it's going to make wider videos. Then um, this 5:8 would make longer videos that will fill most new phones, the entire screen. So it matters the aspect ratio you work on. But to be on the safe side, if you're not sure, stick with 16:9. You're good to go. So just if you notice, by clicking 16:9, it's now give me black border. That means that this video was a little bit wider. So assuming I did not come and check there, I would think I'm making 16:9 and export something off. Okay, so that's a good tip for us. Just always come back and ensure you're on 16:9. Otherwise, it's going to give you one that fits the video. Okay, so there's an option here to customize. Let's see what we can do when we come to customize. So if we come over here to customizing, we see that we have the ability to make some more changes, some more control to our project. So many other softwares like Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve would have taken you first to this. So you set your project up before even starting. But CapCut tries to simplify things so you don't get too complex for you. So unless you want to go and find those settings and change them yourself. So this is one of those settings that are really essential in video editing to know how to change. So the first thing is the project name. You don't want a number because what if you don't know where your files are? So you want this to be the name of the movie, the name of the project, the name of the particular timeline. So I'm going to give this Winlos video training or editing training. Okay. And the next thing is the destination. It's asking us where is this saved to. So this will tell us where the project will be stored and where the final exported media will be stored. This is important because there are many times you export a file and you start looking for it on your computer, like where did I export to? Just come back and check your project. And this will tell you where it was exported to. I think if you click on it, you should be able to change it. It's not allowing me to change it, but I think when I'm finally going to export, I can change it. So again, now I have option to choose my ratio again. I'm going to stick with 16:9. Resolution is adapted, so leave it as adapted. Frame rate is another important thing. Now, remember I said as a video editor, you should know something about shooting. Okay, so let's teach ourselves a little bit about shooting. So if you were with a digital camera, like the one here's Joshua. Okay, bring the camera. So if you had a digital camera with you, or you had access to a digital camera, a very good digital camera will allow you to set the frame rate with which you want to shoot on. Basically, what frame rate is about is, think about video as moving pictures, right? So in 1 second of the video, how many pictures pass your screen? So you may not know, you may not really understand frame rate until you see a laggy video. So if I give you a video that is at 10 frames per second, you will know. So when maybe a ball is moving through the video, it will look like it's skipping, right? It's jumping frames, okay? So frame rate gives you a very smooth video. Higher frame rate gives you a smoother video. But there's a point to get so high that it's not visible to your eye that it's high. If I shoot something at 25 frames per second, or I shoot something at 60 frames per second, for most people, you will not notice difference. Okay? But why is it important for the editor to know? Is because when you want to now slow down your footage, when you want to apply some slow motion effect, you want your video to be shot at a higher frame rate. So as a cinematographer, as someone that shoots videos, even if you are using your iPhone, there's a button up there that you can choose 30 frames or 60 frames by using the higher iPhones. Have you noticed it? Notice it. So if you intend to slow down that clip, you might as well put it in 60 frames. So when you put it in 60 frames, you can slow down that to up to 30% of the speed, or 40% or 50% of the speed. And just simple math. If it's 60 frames per second you shot at, and you want to slow it down half the speed, which is 30% of 50% of the speed, it would automatically drop to 30 frames per second. So the slow motion footage would still be very sharp, to be 30 frames per second. If you now slow it down more than that, maybe you slow it down to about 30% of the speed, the slow motion clip may now go up to 20 frames per second or 20 something frames per second, which is still fine. Okay? But if you have shot your film in 24 frames per second, don't just bother slowing it down. You may slow it down to maybe 70% of the speed and you will still be fine, because some softwares will help you do, they call it video tracing. So it will try to match the shots for you such that it looks smooth. But typically, when you shoot at 24 frames per second and you slow it down to half of the speed, you have 12 frames per second. And 12 frames per second is very obvious to the eye when watching a video. So we'll probably do that experiment here. Okay? So that we can have something on our phone. Has everybody imported files into our Capcut yet? Imported files. So let's try to slow down a footage and see. Customize is not on the phone. Okay. But there should be something for ratio. Let's see. There is ratio. That's it. There should be aspect ratio somewhere in the phone. There is, right? Yes. So up in the phone, what I can see here is up there you should have your resolution. I can see 720p on mine. Okay, if you click on 720p, you have some features there showing you the resolution. That's the resolution and frame rate, right? So that's the resolution of your timeline. That's the resolution with which you will export your final clip as. Now, if you leave your resolution at say 1080p, perfect. You can use that and upload. If you raise it to maybe 2K or 4K, which is the last one there, it's also perfect. But then the advantage of that is you want to re-edit that clip. So I think just to conclude on this frame rate part, but anyway, you can see on your phone you have your frame rate and you have your code rate, Mbps. So for the sake of being thorough, let's also talk about code rate. Let's see if we have that here. See if that's going to be in performance. No, not in performance. Okay, so Rec 709, I'm going to leave that there. So, but anyway, as a rule of thumb, you want to export your final video in 24 or 25 frames per second, because that's the frame rate that is perfect to the human eye. If it's too high, some people begin to feel pain in their eyes when you export at high frame rate. You may not know why, but it's just upsetting their eyes. So this is the cinema quality, 24 frames per second. And again, you do this for your final edit, right? You are not trying to edit it again. You're not trying to slow it down again. So what that means is, even if you shoot your stuff with your camera at 60 or 100 frames per second, some cameras will go up to 1,000 frames per second. Maybe those one will capture bullets moving, water splash, those kind of crazy fast motion. They have cameras that go thousands of frame rates. so that they can slow it down like 1,000 times. Very beautiful to see such. So they use that in high-end movies. So again, you export your final clips at 24 frames per second. I'm going to click save here, and project is back to question. Okay. Capcut. Yes. Yes. Okay. So if you use 2K or 4K, you are going to have a better resolution. The question now is this significantly better? Depends on the device that's going to be viewing. People are viewing it on their phone. A 2K or 4K clip may not look better than 1080p. But if the video is going to be viewed on a big screen like this or on a TV screen, 2K or 4K will be significantly better than 1080p. Then um, another thing is another thing that actually affects resolution. What is even more important than that 2K or 4K is this code weight, this Mbps. So code weight is basically that one has more control of your file size. So let me see if there's any option like that here. Um, can't find it, but basically what it is so yes. So it's known as bit rate on most softwares, and it's measured in Mbps. And what it simply means is megabits per second. This is sorry, I'm going all technical. I know I've lost many people, but just when we pass through this, we'll go more into the practical part. So this just affects the file size. So let's just say anything less than 10 Mbps, the quality will start to drop. Okay? So if you start using 5 Mbps, you will have a smaller file size. So if you have ever had any case where you're trying to upload a video and the file size is too large, maybe Telegram, right? Telegram will tell you 2 gig is the limit, and your file is 2.5 gig. Just come back to CapCut, drop the Mbps. If you're trying to export it, to give us that option. The file size will always drop. Okay. So this bitrate, yeah, customize. Okay. So this one, again, if you want the best quality, just stay within 10 to 20, but expect a large file size, 20,000, sorry. If it's in KB, right, because this is K, so it will be 20,000 kbps. If it's in M, kilobytes and megabytes, it will be 20 Mbps. So for the best quality for 1080p, you want to do 20. If you want to save space and you want lower size, you may want to drop it down to 10 or 8. You can go well with 8 without losing quality. When you start taking it down to 5, 4, you have lower file, but it will not look like 1080p again. Okay? So bitrate is very important. But where I use it a lot is when I'm struggling with getting the best file size for what I'm trying to use. I tend to adjust it. Okay, so I think we've discussed enough technical terms. Let's now go into the edit basic. The main editing happens down here in our timeline. So in your timeline, you have this line. Every video editing tool has a line here that scrubs through the entire timeline. So you can call this the pointer, you can call this the edit line. For the sake of this class, we'll just call this the, what should we call it? Edit line. Okay, that's fine. And you know why pointer may be confusing us with cursor? Because this is cursor. Let's call this the edit line. So this line, this is why this line is very important. If this line is over here and you are working on this clip, You would think you are not doing anything. See, now I'm dropping a party of this clip and nothing is happening on my screen. Because your edit line is checking this part and you're working on this part. So what do you have to do? Drag the edit line to the part you're working on. And you see the changes. So whenever you're making changes, especially on the desktop version, to any property of any clip, your edit line must be over that clip. Otherwise, you won't see what you're doing and you almost wonder like what's going on here. Okay, so right now I'm scaling it in and I'm not seeing it, but just although you don't have to always drag, you can just click on the time up there. You see this is your time code. This time code is also very important because there are times you want to keep your video under 1 minute or keep your video under 2 minutes. Okay, you don't want to make it short and it's 5 minutes long. You are losing people's attention span, and that's also why we said begin with the end in mind. Know what kind of platform you are posting on. People on TikTok are not going to be watching 5 to 10 minutes videos because that platform is designed for shorter attention span. Okay, so if you want to put something on TikTok, 30 seconds is fine. 1 minute is even you haven't dragging it. Okay, so that means your cut is going to be faster. You don't even need to add transitions, just very quick cuts and straight to the point. So keep it with the punchline. That kind of editing is called editing the action. So if I was going to cut a clip like this with that mindset in mind, I would have to find where the action is. Right? So for something like this, the action could be when she turned her face to the camera. Okay? So everything before this and after this is unnecessary. You want to keep it where the action is. So if in your clip someone was going to the fridge, right? And they open the fridge, bring out a bottle of milk, and close the fridge. That could take 15 seconds. You don't need all 15 seconds of that clip. But have it in mind that a very interesting edit is going to have quick cuts. So just be thinking of 5 seconds cuts, 5 seconds cuts. 10 seconds, you are even dragging it. Okay? So such a shot like that, where someone walks to the fridge, where do you think the action would be? The action of picking the milk, not even opening the door. So you would just cut off the walking to the fridge, cut off the closing the fridge, and just show the shot of grabbing the milk, and that's the action. So have action in mind. Okay. So in a shot like this, if we are trying to find the action, like I said, depending on the story, could be where she turns her head to face the camera. Okay. So that means we have to cut before and after that. So let's now talk about the tools. So in Capcut, our tools lie to the right here, down here. So you have your select tool, your split tool, select leftward and rightward. I don't know why it's shaking. Okay. So again, if you want to be a quick video editor, you don't have to be coming here. See these letters beside it? They are your best friend. Memorize the letters. These are shortcuts. So one thing that would really make your video editing life sweet is having shortcuts in mind and memorizing shortcuts. So let's start with our first shortcut for the class. A will give us the select tool. B will give us the other softwares will call this the razor tool. Others will call it the blade tool. It's the same thing. It cuts your clip. It cuts your clips at the point where our edit line is. Okay, so we're working with the edit line. So let's switch to the split tool. So I'm just going to click on it for the sake of this section. So we said we want to get the action. So we want to get the action. That means we'll find somewhere here and we're going to split. And turns ahead somewhere here and we're going to split. So you may also want to play it and see how long it is. If it's too short, it's probably not important. It's already getting too long. Getting too long. So this is actually a slow motion clip though. So everything is happening slow motion. That may also affect the speed. So that's something you should do when you're editing, right? When you are trying to cut something, play it and check. Am I dragging this thing? It's getting to 5, 10, 20 seconds. think of how to cut it more again. Okay? So for this clip, um, let's say she's looking here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's enough. I can take it from there. Every other thing can leave. So what happens after you've cut the clip? I think I cut that wrong way. After you've cut the clip, you want to now delete the useless part. Now, as someone that shot the movie, it may pain you to delete some clips, but don't get attached to your clips. Okay? You can actually go to a location that is amazing. You paid money to enter there, and all the clips you took, you only need 10 seconds to clip from all the amazing clips you took. So just keep the rest for your personal use only. If you are going to be putting it out there, don't be attached to. Don't say, I like this shot. This shot must enter, and it's not making sense in the story. So if it's not matching the story, if it's not needed in the action, cut it and let it go. Okay? So that's something I had to finally accept. As someone that shoots and edits, is some of your clips that you like you will never use. So it's just the way it is. So even if the rest of this clip is pretty cool, right? The patch is entering the water. If it's not necessary to the story, guess what I'll do? I'll have to delete it. So to delete on the desktop, you click and you hit backspace. So I'm sure on phones you guys can start cutting stuff and deleting stuff right now. Okay, so follow. So find the action of that video that is on your phone and cut and delete whatever is left. So our first clip that was so long has been minimized to chicken. You can unplug it and plug it back. So don't get emotionally attached to your clips. You will have opportunity to shoot more clips. Just let that one go. So again, this one, I don't know. Can anybody tell me where the action for this clip is? Going through it, picking up the flower from the water. I think that's a reasonable one. So that should be it. So so everything else is unnecessary. So the moment where a hand is coming up to the flower and picking it up is enough action. Okay. So now we're using shortcuts now. B. We switch to the blade tool. We cut that part. Go back before she picked it up, and we cut this part. Okay. And we switch to A. Click on this, delete. Click on this, delete. The switching. Shortcut. Yes, on your keyboard, just press the buttons. A and B. A and B. A will take you back to your arrow tool. B will take you back to your cut tool. So, since we're mostly following on the phone, let's see what it looks like on the phone. So on the phone, you have, when you click on the video file, you have split, right? That's your first button. You have speed, animation, style, delete, and so on. So we're going to be working with split and delete. Your arrow tool in this time is your finger, is how you are swiping. In fact, this line at the center, the line at the center is your edit line. So on here, we are moving our edit line, right? On the phone, our edit line remains at the center, and we're moving our clip left and right. So anywhere that is being displayed on your previous screen is where that line is on the clip. That's how you know where to cut. So if we're trying to find the action on any clip, we find before, click on split, okay? Then go after, click on split. Okay? Then everything before and after, you can click on it and you have delete. Click on the other one and you delete. So you've been able to do the same thing. Did anybody do that? Found it right? So for those that joined a bit late, the website we got these beautiful looking clips is called pixels.com, and it's a free stock footage website. Just that we don't have internet access now, we would have gone there to how it looks. Yeah? No, videos. They have videos, they have pictures. Okay, and they're all for free. Some can be very short, like look at this, it's 10 seconds, 50 seconds, 30. They are mostly short, but they are like high quality videos. You can search based on what you want. You have the ability to search based on what you want. No, they don't have copyright protection for this particular site. There are also other sites like Envanto Elements, but you have to pay a subscription fee. So let us let us see. Let us just do a quick cut of this clip. So now we kind of skipped something. In the process of importing a clip, what we did was we just clicked the plus button and it came down to our timeline. What if the clip is just so long and it doesn't make sense to just bring the whole thing down? There is something called mark in and mark out. Okay? On other softwares like Premiere Pro, you would see an option to say mark in, which is I, usually has a shortcut of I, and then mark out would have a shortcut of O. That simply gives you, well, let's see what Capcut own has. So if this is the clip we're working on here, for Capcut, by the time you bring your cursor to the left edge of the clip, you can select the in point that you want to import into your timeline. When you bring your cursor to the right edge, notice the cursor has changed to another tool. You can now select the out point. And it's also showing you the duration of how short your clip now is. So if there was a clip where the way you recorded it, you had to go and click on record, you had to go back to your stand and then pause, that's all parts you can cut off, right? So you just come and make sure the initial setting up of the clip is not there, and then maybe you went back to go and stop the clip, you just make sure that part is not there. So when actually editing a skit or a movie project, there's something known as a rough cut. A rough cut is you don't want to dwell so long on the edit page yet. You want to just have your clips that are necessary in the order with which you want them. Because most of the time, these clips here will not be in the right order. It's not that you must take this one, two, three, order, right? Depends on how you shot it. You may, like the movie they are shooting now, they can shoot 10 scenes here, and those 10 scenes may be in different, would definitely be in different part of the movie, right? So if you import them and those 10 scenes are showing up there, you won't want to just drop them into your timeline, right? So a rough cut is when you go over to, rough cut is when you go over to your files. So you check, okay, this is the scene I would like to begin with. And you check this is a scene. So a rough cut is you mark your in point for that scene or that shot and your out point. And then two things, you can either click on the plus button and the plus button will import it to where the playhead is. So if this was, let me get this one off first. So you may want to have your playhead at the end before you do that, okay? So you mark, find your in point. So you can see, have that mindset of action here, right? So you are still trying to find the action point and you press plus. So this will save you time. You know that time of splitting and deleting, you don't have to bother about that. So you can click on another clip, find my in and out point. So on phone, you can actually do something similar. Okay? And click plus. If you want to click plus, you can drag it. The advantage of dragging is when you want to start working with multiple layers. Let's say I wanted this one to be overlaid. So out point. And I can drag it and place it over another clip. Okay? So On mobile, that is where you come on this overlay option and click add overlay. So it will allow you to put clips on top clips. Where we use that most of the time is logos. Right? So many times you want to have a logo on your clip. Um, so by the way, we only imported video files. There are several media files that we can import. So let's import some other media files for the sake of more practical. I think if I check here, I'll drag this in. So I have that down there. If I drag this, so for pictures, you don't have to mark in and mark out because it's still picture. So by dragging that in, here's the screen. Um, so if I take my cursor to the edge of this place, I can actually adjust the size. So this is branding now. We're trying to brand this. So you can choose top left or top right. So when you're choosing it, just think about the device you are watching with. If you're watching with your phone, let's say, and it's on YouTube, and you click on it, remember there is a bar that can come up, the time bar. So if you put something at the bottom, that bar will cover it, right? So avoid the bottom for stuff like those. So if you want to place it on top right, I think top right is it. So you want to place it on top right. And then you want to extend this logo to fill your entire clip. So the thing with pictures is you have the ability to extend pictures as long as you want or as short as you want. They are not clips. They are still frames that can stretch either way. So again, this picture, if you notice, .png, right? That's why it has a transparent background. So if you have a logo that has a white background, you may want to remove the background first and export as PNG. Otherwise, you have a very awkward look. So that's for overlays. So right now we have started stacking our layers. In a very good edit, you would see because more than pictures, you have audios, you have voiceovers, you have sound effects. So let's bring in some extra stuff that might also help us. So I have this section that I can call. Let me just bring in some of this stuff. What they are. So these ones, for example, are like what do we call them now? Like effects. Okay. You can use them as overlays. You can also use them as transitions. Let's look at this one. See this one. So this is also an effect. I don't know if you've seen those highlights of maybe wedding highlights, and they'll put something like this. This is what they use. What they call it, old film grain something. If you click on it, you probably see the everything. But yeah, so film grain, right? So by the time you drop this on your clip, people just think you're a professional. So let's just look at how to drop this. You're actually professional. So let's just look at how we can use something like this. If I drag this to my clip now, let me choose the layer I want to be under the logo or over the clips. It will automatically cover the clip. That's where a feature called, who can tell us what we can do to this clip? Make it reveal. Opacity, that's one. What else? Slice. Slice. Okay. And there's one word I want to hear. Something that will make this clip show what's underneath it. Overlay, chroma. Chroma is if we're working maybe green screen. Okay, chroma key. So that's something we can just remember that. It's called keying, chroma key or color key. So if you are working with green screen or blue screen and you want to make it transparent, there's an effect called chroma key That will take away the green screen. But that's not in this case. This case, we have a black background. What we need is those white dots in the shot. We don't need the black. Nobody? Okay. So, what should I change? The background. The word is blending mode. If you know Photoshop, I'm sure I used to blend mode. The normal one is what this is, but there are other ones. Let's look at some of the other ones. If you come to blend mode, you see other blend modes. So this blend modes, it has a way of it defines the relationship between each layer and whatever is underneath it. So if it's normal, it's just the video file. And somebody mentioned opacity. Yes, opacity can work, but opacity will not be the best. So the video still looks dull. Even if I bring it to 50%, the video is still dull. So opacity may work, right? But that's not the best. Okay? So the best is not even opacity. I'll give my opacity as 100. The best for this clip will be to change the blend mode completely. So let's go through them and see what. If I click on bright, if I go to brighten, let's see if anything has happened. Working, it's actually working for brighten. Screen is actually the one you want. Screen or overlay. I had somebody mention overlay. Maybe that's what they're trying to say. So screen would actually retain the effect and remove the black. So it's almost like doing chroma, whatever, but it's keying out the black. Not really keying out the black, but it's sharp taking out the black and leaving the shiny thing. You can also try others depending on what you have. So if you have, let's say you had a white background and a black effect, maybe multiply would have worked for you. Have multiply here. So the trick it's usually between screen and multiply. One of those two would work, but you can just go through each of them and they would change the relationship between this layer and the layer underneath it. This can be very important for effect. So let's try it on this. If I bring this stuff in, currently just blocking my entire video, right? But if I change the blending mode to screen, for example, it's now going to be like flashing across my screen. So this can be very nice for transition and makes our video look way more professional. So even if there was some copyright claim to this video, we have already changed it. So um, that can be one way to just really level up the quality. Of course, you don't want to use it throughout the video because it gets repetitive and just use it in some sections of the video to add some interest. Now, okay, all these resources, you can download them from YouTube. I download them from YouTube. The blend on the phone. Okay, let's see. So if you add an overlay, let's look for an overlay to add to the phone. Okay. So for the phone, let's go to where we have. Okay, so if we go to adjust will take us to our grading options. We have brightness, contrast. That's not what we need. We use filters. So another thing with Capcut is that it works well with the internet. So there are some features that may not even work unless you are online. Let's see. So I can see mask here. It's not going to be mask. Splice. Splice on the phone. I can see splits. Okay, splice. Oh, okay. So splice, you have the opacity slider up there. Then I think the blending mode will be. Okay, once you click on the overlay clip, you see split. When you click on overlay that is displaying, right? And you've created. Yes. Have you added? Then click add overlay. add overlay, then choose an overlay. So for the phone, I don't know why, but the overlay comes down. But just know that that overlay is on top of your clip. So it's for phones, the overlay is below the original layer. So when you click on that overlay, um, that guy was correct. The section is called splice. Okay. So splice gives you the option to choose the different blend modes. So I guess this guy is very good with phone editing. The rest of us are more computer professional. Okay. So splice is what we are looking for. So you can see normal, which is this normal. Then we have others. We see overlay, we see lighting, we see color burn dodge, and even about splice. So I've learned something. All right. So this is actually what you need is the splice section on your phone that does the blending mode. Okay. So what is known as blend on your devices will be splice on your phone. Are we? Did everybody find it? You all found it. Okay. Yes. Okay. So the object is not moving. We want to make it move. Sorry, so that people will hear you. All right. Um, it's called keyframing, right? So when you have static objects that you want to make move, you have to keyframe a property of the object. If you want to zoom it in, you can keyframe the scale property. Okay, we'll quickly look at that. Do you want to make it move through the screen? You can keyframe the position property. So um, let's just quickly touch on that, just in case we don't have time to touch on it. So keyframing is another very important section of video editing. That's where you begin to animate stuff. So let's say you have a shot where it's your establishing shot, it's a wide shot, and you just place your camera on a tripod and you shoot the entire scene. So maybe we'll talk about different kind of shots. So, but your establishing shots usually maybe like a wide shot that shows the scene. Could be a drone shot, for example, right? Or in the scene, it just shows the entire environment, the entire room. Now that's your wide shot. Let's say you want to zoom in. So let's pick one of these clips that we can use for that practical. So let's say we want to use this. Looks like a let's mark an in and out point. All right, I'm just going to drag this down here. So this is our shot. It's pretty much, let me remove this effect from right first. It's pretty much a camera on a tripod, maybe even handheld. I can see some shaky motion. It's probably a handheld camera and someone is swinging. If you wanted to make this more, if this kind of like a static shot, I want to add some motion to it. You may want to try to slowly zoom into a section. So let's say we want to slowly zoom into the lady, right? To use what we call key framing. So key framing shots, let me make sure I'm on my arrow tool. We'll start with the first frame, which is the beginning of the shot down here. And make sure, and also whenever you're working on your timeline, this is your best friend. This is right here. Okay? At times you want to zoom in and zoom out. You always want to be zooming in and zooming out. So if you want to move things around, when you want to move things around in relation to each other, you want to zoom out and see your entire timeline. And also if you want to check how much time you have. So if it's going to be a 1 minute clip, you know that this is where you should be targeting your final shot. So, but I'm going to make specific changes to this. So I want to zoom in so it can occupy more space on my screen. So keyframing is simply changing the property of a clip or a media file with time. So maybe before we go there, let's just look at how to change the property of the file first. So let's look at some of the properties. We have position and size up here. So position and size is one property that you will almost always change. So let's look at what will happen if we try to change the size. Now, first of all, take note of the initial size. The initial size is 100% scale. So when I say size, scale, same thing, okay? So it's initially 100%. So if I want to zoom this in, then I should start raising that from 100 to, let's see what will happen. So I'm raising this from 100 to up to even 200. Remember we said if you want to slow down a footage, shoot at high frame rate, right? If you intend to zoom in a footage, what will you shoot at? 60. Okay. It's a trick question. 60 frames per second is perfect when you intend to slow down a footage, right? Very correct answer. Now I'm asking a different question, not frame rate now. When you choose to zoom in, when you intend to zoom in a footage during editing, what do you think you should shoot at? This is not a frame rate answer. Slower speed. Higher what? Okay. Resolution. That's what. So 4K. So if you wanted to zoom in a clip and your, you know we're going to export this in 1080p eventually, then shoot that clip in 4K because that's higher resolution. So if I'm going to zoom in a 4K clip, it will still be sharp after zooming in. It's not looking blurry. Okay, so that's why I said as an editor, you should know a few things about shooting. So for clips you intend to scale in, shoot them at higher resolutions, not 1080p, maybe 4K. Okay? For clips you intend to slow down, shoot them at higher frame rates. So instead of 30 FPS, 60 FPS, like they rightly mentioned. Everybody following? So higher resolution allows you to zoom in or scale in without losing data, without losing resolution. So we need volunteers for the shoots. You want to feature in professionality, you know. we don't need my best student. Okay. He'll be back, okay. Okay, so he will be back. They just need him as an extra in a scene. Okay. Anyway, let's not get distracted. So so again, we said the properties, we have position and scale. So if we scale this in, let's change the position. So the position, we will have X and Y position. So if you know some graph stuff in you did a little bit of science, X and Y position, Y will be what? Vertical, right? Or vertical is Y. Then X is what? So that's just some science stuff here. So by the time you're adjusting your X position, what's happening? You're shifting your clip left to right. By the time you're adjusting your Y position, you're shifting your clip up to down. So let's go there. So this is the clip. So after I've scaled it in, I can now start pushing. I can now start pushing my some. If it's Premiere Pro, you can actually click on this and slide through it. Right? Or whatever, I can just type in. So if I say 100, for example, I'm gonna shift it right. I make it maybe 500. I'm gonna shift it about 500 pixels to the right or something like that. If you put a negative, I'm gonna shift it 500 to the left. Otherwise, you can just click on it and drag it from here. Probably easier to do this. It's faster to do this. So as you're doing this, watch your properties changing. Look at your X and Y is changing. So I'm making changes to my position. And watch, if I want to make change to my scale, I'll bring my cursor to the edge here, right? And do this. And look at my scale change, right? See my scale change. So putting my cursor here and dragging it, I'm actually changing my position and scale. So this is the fast way, that's the technical way. Why is technical way important? If you have several clips that you want to scale at equal equal properties, you may want to make sure this is consistent, right? So you may want to leave this in 50 and maybe leave this in 550, leave this in maybe 130, so that in your next clip, you are copying the same numbers on the next clip. So you don't have a odd looking So I just talked about the property. Now to okay, there's one more property called rotate. Let's look at rotate. So rotate is like this. You can also do some very nice animation with this. I don't know if you saw anybody can remember this reference. If you saw Black Panther movie, there's a scene where Killmonger was going back to the taking the throne, and then they were panning the camera, right? So like a change in power. You know, you can actually communicate through your your movement of camera. So it was a rotation shot. Eh? No, I think they moved it with the camera. I'm just saying we can fake it with editing. They moved it with the camera. Okay, so um, that's even something. But we're not cinematographers. We're just editors. But we need to know something. So what makes very interesting edit is where your camera is also telling a story. Camera is also conveying some sort of emotion. So, for example, if you are trying to show someone sad and you're using a wide shot, you're not capturing the emotion, right? You want to go in to a more close-up shot or even an extreme close-up shot to get the emotion of the face. And people will feel that emotion, right? So if you're trying to capture someone that is lonely and all that, then you can do a very wide shot and empty space. The person is just sitting in one corner of the shot. Feels lonely already. So your camera is telling a story. So even as an editor, it's good to know a little bit about camera angles and all that stuff, right? There's another camera angle where I think, bottom up kind of shot, where the camera is lower than the person's height. So it makes maybe people that are like proud and like want to feel bigger than life, right? You can use that kind of shot. So it looks like they are looking down on the viewers, on their subject. So those are the kind of shots, right? So the opposite is up down. Person looks humble and shorter and all that stuff. So cameras actually tell. So that scene where that rotation stuff happened. So let's try and fake it, for example. So if I start here, so this is the keyframe button, this diamond shape, right? Um, I want to keyframe. So you want to choose the rotation you start with first. So let me say I want to start with a rotation at this point. I'll click a keyframe. So you set your property, click on keyframe. So let me also keyframe position and scale just in case I need to change it. So by the time you click on that keyframe button, for phone, you also have a keyframe beside your undo button. So if you click on that keyframe, it will allow you to make changes to the any property, scale, rotation, and position, such that if you move forward in your timeline and click on the keyframe again, you can make more changes, and then it's going to transition between those two changes between that time. Let's just look at this from here. You can try with your phone, the same thing. So from here to here, now I want to now change the rotation. So before I change rotation, I'll click on the keyframe again. And let me even click on the three properties. And now I can change the rotation this way. Just to zoom in a bit. So now this is what we have when we play back the clip. So it's rotating and then it's zoomed in. Stop there because that's where I had my keyframe. So if I wanted that to extend, I can drag, look at the way I'm dragging my keyframe to the end. So I can make sure the whole animation from the start of the clip to the end is going to be slowly rotating. So if you do a more drastic change, you'll see it happen faster. Okay? So that is important where say the cinematographer was not too creative. And you're like, why is this shot looking so static and boring? It always helps to do a little scaling. But especially when you are putting pictures overlays, right? Pictures are always too static. So when you're having pictures in your video clip, you just want to scale in a little bit. Very simple stuff and it makes all the difference. So if there were some pictures, there's no picture here, you would want to make sure you put a keyframe at the beginning of the clip at 100 and then maybe at the end of the clip put 110. Just be a gentle movement of the picture. That's keyframing. Anybody tried it on their phone and got the same result? Got the same result. You got the result. And what did you get? Did you scale it in? I feel like this guy that is cheating for you guys. Anybody on this side has tried keyframe on their phone? Tried it? Tried it? Is there the question? You can't see the button. Maybe you may have to update your Capcut. I don't know if it's in that version. Can I see your phone screen? Okay, you see that button beside your undo button? Yes, that's the keyframe. You see it? It's like a diamond shape with a plus sign. Yes, that's your keyframe button. So if you click on a clip and press that shape, it will store that particular property of scale, position, and rotation for that time. Then when you go forward a few seconds and click on it again, then you can now zoom in, rotate, or whatever. And then when you play back, you'll notice the changes. Let's try it. Yeah, achieve it. So basically, so we're trying to follow along with CapCut on our phones so that we achieve similar results. But of course, if you have computers at home and if you want to continue practicing, I recommend you go and download this. It's free. Okay? And there are only some pro features that you need more for more effect. Okay. Let's just take a look at some other things on the internet. Let's just look at them. Then maybe some questions can pop up from there. First of all, what we like CapCut for more than other softwares is number one is light. So we don't need a high-end computer to work with it. Number two is free. And it has very nice effects already loaded, especially if you have access to the internet. But my favorite is auto captions, right? So I don't know. Captions, subtitle, subtitle, captions. Yes. So so let's look at how to. Although you cannot have auto caption without any sort of um, voiceover, right? So this clip has been primarily silent. So maybe let's see if we can get some talking something into this. Okay. So by the way, um, depending on the mood of your clip, this is not well organized, but depending on the mood of your shoot, there are different kind of sounds that work, right? So if you're going to be using a piano, something, you're going to be, it's more like a slow edit, something soulful, something. Um, I wish I had access to the internet. Where I would like you to get used to, for again royalty-free, copyright-free sounds, is YouTube Audio Library. Once you have a Google account or a YouTube channel, you can just search on Google YouTube Audio Library, and you will be able to find free sounds that YouTube has given you the privilege to use without any copyright claim. Okay? So you will find sounds, you can now filter them based on, let me see if I can show you. Yeah, so you want to, like I said when we started, you want to have a habit of gathering resources. So you want to go to a platform like YouTube Audio Library, or if you have someone that has access to stock footage sites like Envanto Elements, maybe they have paid for it. You just want to go and download a lot and keep. So, for example, if you're editing a trailer, there are some sort of cinematic sounds that are fast moving, with a lot of drums and beats and all that, right? And you want to cut to the beats. That's something we did not really talk about. So, if you want to edit such videos that are really, really interesting and really, really fast, you want to get the sound first, okay? Bring the sound into your timeline. Then the beats is usually where the sound spikes, right? Then you want to make sure you're cutting to match the beat. So it's like in this other clip, we are cutting the video files and we are going to bring in sound later, right? You really want to do something that is going to really blow people's mind. You want to bring in the sound first and then cut your videos to match the beats of the sound. Always makes sense. So let's see if we can find any. Okay, so I'm trying to get, so I have some recordings that would probably, can probably use for, since I don't have access to the internet right now, let me show you. Is there anybody that your network is working, like MTN, Airtel, so that I can connect to the hotspot? Which network is that? MTN is working well, okay. I think it's Airtel that's well. Anyway, I think I've seen what I want. Okay, okay. So I mentioned a platform called Pixels, right? Show you what Pixels look like. So luckily for me, I've actually done a screen recording of myself going through. This is what the YouTube audio library looks like. So if you have a Google account or a YouTube channel, whatever, and you search on YouTube audio library, you click on it to take you to this place. And here you have the ability to choose music, sound effects. Okay? Start is if you mark your favorite one, they'll be in start. So, and here there are hundreds of musics here. You may not like all of them. So in your free time, you may want to come here, filter. This will help you to filter. And when you filter, you will see options to filter according to mood, according to emotion, according to whatever. So you would see romance, you would see angry, you would see sad, and it will give you different kind of instruments. So you know the musical instrument has a way of touching your emotions, right? So there are some instruments that are loud and make you feel cheerful. So there are some cheerful, happy, sunsets, holiday, different kind of musical sounds. So okay, this is the YouTube audio library. This is what it looks like. You have to have a Google account. It may ask you to create a channel, but you don't have to post anything on the channel. You have to have a Google account to use it, and it's completely free. So you can get music here, and what I also like is you can also get sound effects here. The other side you can get sound effect. I think Audio Bible or something like that. Audio Bible. Yes, you can download them to your phone. If you go to YouTube Audio Library on your phone, you can download these sounds. So sound effects would be nice when you are adding transitions. So if you are putting some transitions, you may want to put some sound effects. We didn't talk about titles just now. Maybe when we go back, talk about titles. When you're introducing your titles, you want to add some sound effects. So basically, anything that pops up on your screen, just have the mindset of a little sound effect will not be bad. So it adds interest to your video. So if we're talking about skits, for example, sound effect could be those laughters, those dun 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 dun. Okay, that's sound effect. Yeah. Those ones that you are really, really making those kind of funny stuff. So those will be sound effects because if it's voiceover, voiceover is like you are narrating stuff. It's usually lengthier. So, eh, funny things, right? Yes. So that stuff. So if you are using skits, you can call them voiceovers, but so long you know what you are doing with things. Whether you call it voiceover, call it sound effects, but it's an extra layer of sound that you need to place at a particular place. So, like I said, this is somewhere we can get some instrumentals and some stuff that we can start with. And then I mentioned pixels. So I think I also have a screen recording of that. By the way, okay. Let's move on. So this is what pixels look like. Okay, so pixels.com, it has the option to choose between photos and videos. If you choose on videos, you have the option to search for the kind of video you want. I think in this case, I just search for something like waking up in the morning. And when you click search, it should pop up different videos that you can download from. Okay? They're usually short form. And if you notice, because of the advent of social media, they now have a lot of portrait videos as well. So you can actually have the ability to choose the orientation of, click on filters here, you will be able to change from landscape to portrait. So that it should only filter and give you only landscape or give you only portrait. These are helpful resources you can get for free. This is what pixels look like. Filter here. So I could filter. Look at it. So orientations, all will give you everything. So to save time, if you are only going to need landscape, you choose horizontal. Get horizontal videos only. Then I guess you could also filter sizes if you wanted 4K, 1080p, and all that. Also give you that. So, so it's as simple as just clicking, downloading. If you are tired of downloading. So many clips here. Yes, you have to just find dark skin persons because you don't want to be using white skin and mixing with dark skin. Or just avoid where skin is showing. Maybe just close up shots on objects and all that. So for this kind of thing, if you want to be using this in your project, you want to stick with very close up shots that is not revealing too much. Otherwise, it will not match what you are already shooting. Very close up shots. So that's for that. Let's now go back to our interface. Okay, I think I was trying to import some audio files into this. And we said we need to also talk about auto captions. So has anybody been able to edit something that they would like to show me? So if you have some video files in your phone, but you know what? We can actually just. Do you mind if we just take some shots with your phone and now edit it? You can take some pictures, some videos here. Anybody want to do that? You are free. So if you want to take 5 minutes to just make a short form content, maybe video people sitting, video the screen, and all that. So you have something to cut. Because I'm guessing if you go through your phone, you may be finding movies and stuff that you cannot really cut. So, so we can have something to cut. And I think you may want to try it on portrait mode. So let's do some practical with our phones. So you want to keep it short, right? I want to keep it under 5 seconds. Please, you can leave your seat. You need to be as practical as possible. If you have CapCut on your phone and you don't have clips to work with, right? You can just make 5 to 10 clips, 5 seconds each. So rotate between wide shots, and this you could even post this on your story and say you were here at the Windows training. So you can rotate between wide shots, close-up shots, right? Detail shots, and some stuff. Is that why we are going outside? Okay. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, the one zooming in now in editing. Awesome. Are we going outside to go and take the environment? I don't know why we're going outside. I mean, that could be a nice establishing shot, Sha, showing that you are at a Wi-Fi hub, right? What about you? Are you with your phone? Do you want to take some shots? Take some shots now. You've already done it. Okay. I think my mic has gone off. Joshua, this mic has gone off. Get the. So is anybody with a phone? Okay, I see we are taking our shots here. Again, if your establishment shots could be the outside of this place, so showing the Wi-Fi creative hub, right? You could do that. I think we're free. Are we free to do that? Anybody want to go outside and take the entrance of this place and come in and use it in your edits? Okay. That may make it more interesting, interesting concept. So while we take some shots, let me gather my audio files. The most creative shots will get a gift. Also, Joshua, I think this thing has stayed too long. They bring it here. That camera. No, don't stop it. Oh. I mean, bring it here so it will get audience more. We're good. Mic is good now, right? Then you go and collect it. Make sure the view is good. You're good. Um, take it back so that I should be in the view. Okay, yeah, sharp. Take it back some more. Let's see. Take it back some more. Let's see. Please, don't worry, don't worry. Spacious enough. Get the mic on. Joshua, when you get the mic, come and help me take some shots outside. Let me use it too. Just let me take some shots, like what we did in the morning. Yes, just the environment, the entrance of this place, then inside here. Okay, just. Do you think he wants us to? Who's this one, friend? I'm coming. So if you've taken some shots, you can create a new project. I'm guessing it's going to be a vertical project. Then we can get started. Okay, then let's do one more thing. Since we're looking for sound, if you've taken some shots and you have your video files, let's get audio files. So I want you to go to your audio recording or your recording stuff on your phone and just make a very brief voiceover. So you can just say, I'm here at the Winlos. Yes, so I said go to your audio recording app now on your phone or your sound recording app and let's make a quick voiceover that we're going to overlay in our edit. So you can just say something like, thanks, sir. So you can say something like, I'm here at the Windows, I'm here at the Victor Wifo Creative Hub, attending this training. Yes, voice over. So you can actually voice over inside CapCut, which we will check, but you can also voice over outside in your normal recording app on your phone. So if you check your phone, you can search for recording, you can search for sound recording, you'll find an app that does that. So that we can now just make a quick edit to match. So we have video files, we have audio files, and I think with that we should have enough things to work with. Okay, so we have a lot to do, and the time is not much anymore. So if you've made your videos, let me see. If you made videos that you can work with, I want to see your hands. Made videos, excellent, excellent, excellent. Anybody recorded any audio yet that we can work with? You have audio? Anybody with voiceover yet? You have voiceover. You just did one. My mic is okay. Okay. All right. So we've not done voiceover yet. Let's see how we can do it inside CapCut. I think there should be a way. I don't my phone. I think it's like don't worry, I'll use this one. I'll use this one. Okay. So far so good. We now know where to get our royalty-free, copyright-free sounds, B-rolls, and so on. And we know we can actually shoot the rest with our phones. I'm also going to try to I'm going to try to import something I also recorded on my phone for the sake of this. Okay. So I want to assume that we are all done recording clips so that we can proceed. Okay. I think there are still more people recording. No problem. Action film, Adela. Action film. Okay. Let me use drag this into my. So the thing with CapCut is, unlike other editing software where I would have been able to, so there are times I want to create, um, at times I want to work simultaneously, right? So I want to have multiple timelines in one project. So here, I think one project, you are limited to one timeline per project. So what that means is, if I want to now create a vertical video now, I would have to go over to my CapCut homepage, which will be, um, I can just go to back to homepage and to take me to this place, and I'll say new project. So I have to now start a new project and make that a vertical something. So for the sake of this, let's work with that. So if you check the ratio, you see that this is probably going to be 9 by 16 already. Yes? Give you this video. Okay, no problem. I'm actually recording this class. So I'll put it on my channel. Follow me on YouTube. I'll post it there. So my YouTube channel is Blast Creative Academy. Blast. So you see some tutorials already there, but I'll also post this one so that you can watch it. So for this clip, I'm just going to cut it because there's a lot of movement and shaky camera. So this is a typical, not the one we're using professionally shot stuff with it. This is a typical video file you'll be working with. Handheld, shaky, so you have to start stressing yourself. So let's see what we can do with this. First of all, the length is it's pretty short, about 56 seconds. So maybe I want to cut it to be about 30 seconds. So I'm sure you guys have the same set of clips on your phone, right? So you start by cutting it. Remember, we talked about action, okay? So, um, anyway, let me even do my own sound. Let me do my own voiceover. So inside CapCut, I believe CapCut should give you a opportunity to add a voiceover. Let's see. If you're in CapCut and you click on audio, right? There's a record button. The last option says record. You see that? So that may be nice so that your recording matches the speed of your video. So let's say you've cut it the way you want, then you do your voiceover last. So you can say, okay, right now I'm inside the hall, and then I went outside the hall. And here's the teacher, and here's the okay. So we can do that. So let's say we do that last. So it's as simple as clicking on audio, scrolling to your right, and you see record. And so the option voiceover will pop up. Then you have your tap or press and hold to record. That's for the phone. For for the PC, when you click on audio, similarly you can add music. CapCut has some sounds that you can also use for free. They also have some sound effects. So if you try to play them, let me see if they'll play. Well, my internet is not strong yet. You can actually go ahead and work with some of these sound effects and search for what you want. So if maybe you wanted the whoosh. Anyway, that came out through my laptop. So these are sound effects, like what we talked about. So this would be nice for something moving, maybe slides. Run music. Okay, so I can't find an option to record my own sound here, but I think it should just be as simple as maybe opening my audio voice recorder on my computer, right, and recording something for laptop or for phone. Just straightforward on phone, yes. Okay, so let's do a quick cut. So this will be like our final video edit to round up the lesson. So in this video edit, so we're going to make use of voiceovers, we're going to make use of audio, music, sound effect. So we need to create avenues to use them. We're going to make use of text. So the text could introduce, could be a title to introduce the something, or we'll also try auto captions. So that voiceover you made will caption it if the internet speed allows us to do that. So we can try stickers, effects. There's some very nice effects in CapCut. Transitions, very interesting transitions. Filters. So filter is almost like color LUTs. It's what you call LUTs on other softwares. Have adjustments. All right, so a brief edit of this. Again, finding the action. Let's see what we can find. There's a lot of movement in this one, but since this is a short recording, by the time we are done cutting, it's going to be even shorter. All right. So again, you be switching with your shortcuts. Switch to that. Move forward. This. Forward. Now there are times you shoot with a transition in mind. I don't know if you've seen where maybe you want to record someone, right? But you start with the sky and then you bring it down to the person's face. It's what you are doing is you are creating the content with the transition in mind, so that maybe the next person you want to record, or you end one recording by taking it to the sky, right? The next person you want to record, you can start from the sky and bring it down to the person's face, so that in between those clips, the sky is going to serve as a transition. So it looks so amazing when watching it. So it's almost like it will look like one seamless shot. So it looked like you were one person, you went up and went down, and it's somebody else. So there are times you shoot with transition in mind. In fact, all it for a very creative edit, it needs to start from the shooting process. I'm sure you see that a lot in TikTok where people are like changing outfits and all that. It's not easily done, but you can't do that by mistake. You must have planned it while shooting, so that when editing, you know where to cut. So what I would have preferred to make this more interesting is after this, I would have gone closer to the flowers and get some very close-up detail shots. So when you start mixing wide shots and close-up shots in your cuts, it's more interesting. So if you've ever been in a movie set, when they are done taking all the important shots, they'll start taking details. So details could be they are going close to the flower vase on the table, to the frames on the wall, to the details, close-up shots. Okay, those really help you to just transition well. So you don't want to just be jumping from wide to different angles. You may want to have details spliced in between your shots to have a more interesting professional look. Okay, so have details in mind when shooting. And by the way, there are other tools that we did not look at. Now, if you look at these options here, you see split, that's the number one. You see delete left and delete right. Let's look at them. So down here, different softwares, different editing tools have their different versions of this. It saves you time. Let's look at how it saves you time. So now let's say I'm cutting this file. I can't really see my whatever. But look at this timeline now. So let's say I split this. And at this point, what I want to actually do is split this and delete this. Okay? That's two steps. I can actually save myself the stress of two steps such that after I split this, okay, I will now come and use this button that says delete left. So delete left will split and delete to the left. So it will save you a lot of time when you need to do your rough cuts. So let's say we we want to do something like that to the right. So instead of splitting this and then deleting this, which is two steps, you can just come over and say delete right. It's going to, at that point, at that playhead, it's going to delete everything to the right. Each second you save in editing is going to save you hours, especially when you're editing long clips. So just bear in mind that the tools here are actually designed to save you time. And anything you can do, that's why I said memorize shortcuts. Anything you can do, and there are shortcuts for this delete left and delete right, right? So we have Q and W. So once you know your B, well, Command B will split at, Control B will split at playhead. So instead of even switching between your blade tool and your select tool, you can stay within your can stay with your select tool and use Control B to just split at playhead or our edit line. Okay? So Control B will just split at edit line. Then you can now use your Q and W to delete right and delete left. So it's just bear in mind that anything to save an extra time is always worth it, especially when you're editing longer projects. So let's see what we can get from here. Again, any shot that is not interesting, we take it off. At this point, I want to zoom into my timeline to get more frames in there. This looks okay. So at this door, there's actually a write up at the door. That would have been a nice place to capture that. I'm just walking through the door. So let's ignore all that. I think I can take this. So again, Control B will just, instead of Control B, I can split left. I don't want to split right because I still have stuff to do at the right. So I'll just should be to cut this at that point. Again, we don't need this, so click and backspace to get rid of that. So again, split left, cut. That's how you build your edits. There's a lot of cutting to be done, but sooner or later, you would have something you can work with. Cut that. Whatever I don't need, I delete. I think that's enough for all this. All this can leave. So what I have is this. So again, I didn't take this shot myself. So there are some shots I would have taken differently. But so I'm sure most of you did better than this. I'd like to see our edits when we are done. Are we still editing? You are done, okay. Anybody else still editing? Good, good. All right, excellent. So now most of the time, because of the way we cut it, we probably don't need the soundtrack. That's another interesting thing. The way CapCut, CapCut tries to simplify your interface for you. So it bakes in your sound in your video file. Other editing softwares will give you a separate layer for sound. What happens when you want to see your sound layer? In CapCut, it's as simple as in CapCut, it's as simple as, please can we please acknowledge the presence of our Reverend Oisa JK of the Winlos. Okay. So in CapCut, let's say there is a sound I like in the video that is important to me. There's something called extract audio. So I click on the clip, I right click, and I extract audio. Okay? You did that already. Okay. So there may be a section of your entire video that the audio makes sense to you. If maybe you are not using voiceover, right? Then the rest clip, you want to mute them. So you don't want to have those sharp cuts of unnecessary sounds in your background. So you want to mute these audios. So to mute them on the PC, you click on it, go over to the audio panel up there, and you can just drag the volume down. I think you can even turn off this button here. So turn it off, the volume goes off for that clip. Audio, turn off. Audio, turn off. Let's see. So I think I should just drag it down. This speaker sound. Okay, so much easier, right? So there are some options here on your layers. So this turns off the audio on that entire layer. So that's a lot easier. Since we have extracted this to a new layer, so we don't even have to bother. I'll just turn it off from here. Excellent. So we save ourselves the time of turning it off individually. And okay. So that's something we did not even take a look at that. We can also hide layers here. So if we had multiple layers and we needed to disable something temporarily, the I button here would hide a track, a layer or a track. There's also a button to lock. So if maybe you did so much there and it's easy to mistakenly delete something and forget you deleted something. If you are working on maybe subtitles and you don't want to affect you just lock your track. it makes sure that you cannot mistakenly delete or move anything from that layer. Okay, so I'm going to unlock that track. And at this point is where I will probably want to introduce transitions. So transitions always come in between clips. By the time you zoom in between two clips, you can now go and get a transition. So let's see what a smoke transition would look like. So I'll bring it down here, and this is what we have. I don't like it. Black smoke. Let's try white flash. Imagine we did that cloud transition I explained. A white flash would have been nice, or even mix. So it just very smooth looking transition. So let's look at mix. In Capcut, you will fall in love with their transitions. Very good transitions. These are transitions that if you're in Premiere Pro, you would suffer to make them. So Capcut really makes transitioning fairly easy. Okay, try this one. So you know what? I'm just going to randomly push, get some of these transitions. But some of them are still unloaded, they are online. So I'm just hitting download button for them to get downloaded before I'm available to use them. So like this pullouts now, I'm going to put it here. So the mix, I'll place it here. White flash, I'll place it here. All right, so these are nice. Remember that multiply thing we did with that year. So they already have it in CapCut for us. You can actually use this to make nice transition. Let me use this for example. If I just drag this to my clip, it will sound like this. Look like this. That was a transition. Let's see the transitions we have now. That did some rotation. That did some like pull out. That was a mixed transition. So that was a white flash. And this was whatever CapCut did there. He said? It's sweeter with laptop actually, yep. These are pretty cool transitions. So at this point, by the time you've successfully cut the action in a clip, add transition, you have a video ready. The only thing that is missing now is audio. So let's get, remember we talked about getting audios from any of those platforms. You can also get from YouTube. If you know how to download from YouTube, just search no copyright music. You can get an entire playlist of music. Although there may be no copyright today, and 2 years later they will add copyright to it. So it's tricky to get stuff from YouTube like that. So I'm just going to bring in but there's no way for you to even hear the sound. So this one is a very fast paced. Sorry. So if you notice now I'm trying to drag something in, I cannot. Well, I can drag to my timeline and to just put it on a layer for me. Otherwise, I must be on my media pool to be able to drag stuff in. If I was in my media pool, then I can just drag it in here. So, but when I drag down to the timeline, it's automatically added to the media pool. So this is what this sounds like. Remember I said I did something like a trailer. There are some sounds that have very nice beats and fast motion that you use for those kind of videos. So you need to kind of have a habit of downloading sounds. So right now I'm just cutting. Oh, that's the fade in. If you're seeing what's happening there. So that's also important when you are working with audio files and one audio is ending, another audio is beginning. Usually you don't want any abrupt stop of a sound, right? You want to fade it in. So Capcut makes it easy for us with this button here. If you click this button and you drag to the right, it can fade in for you for as long as you want. So you don't want it to be more than maybe 1 second. So it's going to fade in. But for audio, you can make it longer. It doesn't have to be 1 second. You can gradually rise. What I actually wanted to do was to shorten it because there were some points that the audio did not start. I'll bring it back to the starting. So you want to know how to fade stuff in like that. So on the mobile device, I'm sure it's a different way to do it. You understand? So I'm sure it's a different way to do it there, but there's a way. There's a way. So for me though, the sound is too fast for this clip, but I will leave it there. Right? So again, very important. You want to fade in at the end too, right? So let's say we split this clip, Control B, delete the extra, then we'll fade out. This is actually called fade out. Fade in and fade out. So it ends a bit a less abrupt ending. You can actually keyframe this if you want to have more control. If that button is not working for you. So if you click on the audio and you keyframe where you want to start fading, you can now a second keyframe and reduce the audio there. So keyframe does not only work with scale and position, and it works with almost everything. So anywhere you see a diamond button in Capcut or any editing software, you have the ability to keyframe that property. So right now we just keyframe the volume such that it will fade out. It ends goes more gradual. I think I like that keyframe. So I think the difference is the transition here is more of a curve, but if we use keyframe, it will give us more of a straight line. So slightly different. Okay, so I want us to also be able to touch quickly on color grading, right? I want to touch quickly on color grading and also on titles and captions. So let's do titles and captions in CapCut. Then we'll do a brief color grading class in DaVinci Resolve. Are we okay with that? Okay. So far so good. Anybody feel like you know CapCut better now? Right? You feel like you know video editing better now in general. So let's do auto captions. So there is no voiceover here yet, but let me use this part. Let me record something. Recorder. So is it recording? Okay, so we're live at the Victor Owaifo Hub, and we're taking a training on video editing and color grading with the Winlos team. So that's my voiceover. So for those on your phone, you have the way to add it, right? Add sound. For me, this is what I just did. I can say open file location, and it's going to give me where this file is, right? So better to rename it. So I'll just call it voiceover training. So I can now copy this. Again, we did not talk about organizing your media, but you don't want to have files in your desktop and your downloads and your pictures folder in your project. Whatever files you are going to be needing per project, you want to move them or copy them to a specific folder. In case of situations where you need to give someone that project to continue for you, you give them the project file. A project file does not contain files. So you need to be able to give them a particular folder and the project file. So that by the time they open that project on their system, all they can do is just link media to your folder and everything comes back. So very important, you have to organize your files, have folders for things. So what I would have done if I was starting this from scratch, this my video file, this my voiceover file, and my which one now? This was the clip that was just recorded. Let me switch to another. Okay, so this was the clip that was just recorded. So I don't want to move this now because I've already started cutting it. Otherwise, we'll have missing files. But assuming I've not started cutting it, I would have to start by creating new folders. And the essential folders you want to create is you want one for videos, which will be your video clips. Place all of them there. Okay. You want to have one for, of course, the parent folder to all this should be your project title, project name. Then you have videos, you have audios, then you can have SFX, which will be your sound effects. Then you can have images, because you may need to use images to explain some points. And you can all just have another one for others, whatever. So by the time you've done that, you have organized your files. So now I will move my audio. I copied this already. I will paste it here. Okay. So that's now my audio that I just recorded. So by dragging this, again, I have to, let me make sure on my media side. By dragging this voice over here, I can use it. Just listen to it. So that part where I say, okay, so I don't need it. So I can just drag this down as my voiceover. Now, when you have voiceover and music, what should your music? You should drop it, right? Your music should never overshadow your voiceover. So you can see the music is high up there. Let's try and play it. It's very terrible. Amateur editing. I can't even hear what I was saying. So you want to drop your music volume. So a good position for music is around maybe minus 20, minus 30, right? So anything between minus 20, minus 30 decibel is fine for background sound that will not distract your voiceover. So let's go again. I can hear myself, and but this music is actually rising. So this is bad music. So used for this example. Except you want to now keep rising. Okay. Oh, okay. It's actually rising because of the keyframe, the presence of keyframes. So I think I have to go to this part and bring it down again. So keyframes too. When you've enabled keyframe on a particular clip, if you change properties somewhere, it would transition to the former property. So you have to change it here and change it there. I don't know if I'm confusing. So, but so yeah, so we have this. Okay, that's just enough. Put it there. All right. So now we have a voiceover that CapCut can now give us auto captions for. So let me hide my my music, and hopefully the network will be enough for CapCut to give us captions. So if you come over to text, you should have auto captions. So those on your phone, have you found auto captions yet? It's easy to find, right? So it's asking us language. It's going to be English. So I'm going to say create captions. So it should be able to listen to the voiceover and create captions for us. So this is, although auto caption is also present in Premiere Pro and DaVinci, but the style of it is just more interesting in Capcut. So you find that many people, especially when they're editing portraits, did it work on field? Field, right? Is there anybody that's been able to do auto captions yet on their own? See my router. I'm using Airtel. That's probably the problem. Let me use it. That would help. Let me try MTN on my phone. Let me hotspot from my phone. All right. I think MTN should work better. I think it worked. All right. That's pretty good, right? Pretty accurate. Edit it. So when the words are wrong, you can actually just click on it. And on phone is different, but here you can actually make changes to. So Victor will spell is wrong, right? At least he tried. Let's say wife. I think it's correct. Is you right? Okay. Okay. So that's how you make changes to. So let's go and look at the next one. Next one says, and we are taking a training on video editing. That looks good enough. Says, collaborating with the Winlos team. Okay. So, I'll say Winlos. So that's auto captions. But what even makes it more interesting is when you start applying the styles. So let's see the different styles. I think it's text templates. It's not even what I need. So down here, styles here, right? This is what I'm looking for. So now these are the popular ones you see on social media. This one is one of the most popular. This is still fine. So let's just work with that. You get the point, right? And of course, you have ability to scale this. Okay. So let's say we wanted to fix this shaky camera issue. So if I was on other video editing softwares, I just know that I'm going to drag a stabilization effect on it. On this one, we have the stabilize option also. So let's look for a shaky shot that needs to be stabilized. Let's stabilize this one, for example. This is how it looks like before. Anyway, let me. Okay, so after these captions, we'll export this video and we'll move on to DaVinci for color grading, okay? Okay. By the way, just to make this more interesting, remember those flashy light stuff for blend mode? Let's add this. I mean, why not? Um, so we're asking how to get them. You can come and copy some from me if you want, but you can actually just download them from YouTube. They're called light leaks, something like that. Light leaks or film overlays or some sort of overlays, right? We get you get several. And speaking of organizing your files, I'm supposed to now copy this to my project file and all that. But for the sake of this one, I'll just on my media. By the way, you can have folders to organize stuff because when you are doing a real project, you're going to have several. So you want to be organized. So this folder, I could call it my overlays. Anyway, so in here, I can now import more stuff. You could have folders or they are known as bins in some other softwares. Okay, let's see. By the way, some of these can be used as transitions also, right? So it's also inside CapCut. We saw it there too. So if you wanted, if maybe we are not using CapCut and you place this one somewhere here, at that point, and beauty that this one has sound too. So you don't even have to bother about overlaying sound. So just make sure it's going to be at the right, at the cut, and then change the blend modes to screen, for example. Position is, the orientation is wrong, so I'll just fix that. That you should have this. Volume may be too loud, right? So you don't want your sound effects to be too loud. It just be very subtle. Okay. So let's say we wanted to add film grain or some other interesting stuff. All right, let me put this. I'll just drop it on a layer above everything. Again, blend modes change to screen. All right. So I'm just going to stretch this out to fill in my portrait, what it looks like, if it's even interesting. It's subtle, but it's something. These subtle effects are what kind of makes people wow. Like, how did you do that? So right now, I think I'm okay. Right? No need to do more here. So if you've been able to achieve something similar like this, can I? You have transition, you have overlay, you have music, or something. So I want to see some people's jobs. You want to show me your work? Don't show me your one. You did not have voiceover. You added voiceover. Okay. I want to see it. I want to see some people's work. I want to see your one. You don't have captions yet. There's caption. Okay. Tell us your name and it was a collaboration effect. Okay. Just use the mic. Can't you? Okay, just play it. Let's let them see. Let's see it. Oh, you know what? Bring it. I can make it bigger. Come, let me play it on the full screen. Your phone. Give me your phone. Right. Bring my iPhone. Bring my phone. Just bring my phone. Okay. So anybody that wants to show us what you recorded. So we are done with the practical for video editing. So we are now watching what we did. Now watching the final result. So this is your phone password. Can you come and help me? Phone. No, just help me hold it. Yeah, just help me. I can get it. See. Is it clear enough? Can we see it? It's clear enough, right? Okay. This is what she did. Okay. That's pretty good, right? All right. Any other person wants to show us their work? Anybody want to beat that? All right. So, but we are following there. Who is lost? At what points, man? At what points did we lose you, man? Any other person that is not even following at all? You, did you come early? Did you come halfway? You came halfway. You are lost. Okay. Um. So what I can do for those that are lost, I have a YouTube channel, right? I also teach there, and I will re-upload this video there. So you can follow me on YouTube. It's the channel handle is Blast Creative Academy. Blast, Blast. I should show it on the screen. Okay, let me. I think I have a screenshot. Let me find it. Okay, you know what? Let me connect to on hotspots on my phone. MTN is working well, right? On my hotspot. Okay. All right. So for those that okay. So for those that join late and they are lost, so if you search for Blast Creative Academy, so this is my YouTube channel. Okay. So I'm going to be adding this video. Phone editing. Yes, I'll. Yeah, so for those that don't have laptops, there will be. I don't have them now, but color grading lessons are here. But for phone editing, you have them. Eh? My, thank you very much. So you can follow me on my. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I advise you to. Then I will upload the recording of this lesson onto this channel. Okay, so that from the beginning, I've been recording from the beginning. Okay. Then um, I think we can move to the color grading class. Okay. If I'm uploading today, if not today, before Saturday, no problem. You can also take my after the class. You can also take my phone, my WhatsApp number. All right. Let's go to. So we're going to launch another software called DaVinci Resolve. But before we do that, so that we don't all get lost now, because this is where most people may get lost. I want us to have a training, a series of training that I call Training Your Eyes. So let's look at, let's observe some of these slides and you tell me what you see. So let me, okay. So I want to, let's use, all right, let's start with CapCut first. Let's look at the colors page in CapCut, then we'll look at the color page in DaVinci Resolve. Now this is our CapCut. Now, say for example, we don't like the way this looks, or we want to make this look more colorful and interesting. So we get to a section known as color grading. And in color grading, from Capcut, you come over to adjustment, and then you have some controls. Now, some of these controls may be familiar to many of us if you are into photo editing or video editing. But if it's not familiar to you, we are just going to look at them, and especially the important ones. Now, one of the important things you may want to have control over or always check is your temperature. So, can anybody tell us what they know temperature to be? So, this section is very interactive because it has to do with how you perceive the real world and how you want to represent it on your video. You want to represent it accurately or you want to enhance some of the details. So anybody has any prior understanding on temperature as a property? Okay, temperature. Okay. Yes, sir. You said how you see the day. Check. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. You see. That, yeah. Okay. Excellent. Anybody want to say something about that? Okay. Lady, thank you, sir. So he actually hits the lane on temperature, but then he also waits to add some extras that are not specifically temperature, but generally the look of the film, right? So all these properties here will affect the look of the film, from your temperature to your brightness, exposure, contrast. So you can tell us what. Okay. 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 So, okay, so from what I understand, one more person, do we have any other additional? Okay, this last guy. So, from what I understand, you guys are actually going, so in color grading, we have color correction and we have color grading. Color correction is you want to match the shots as accurately as possible. So, if this was too warm, you want to bring it back to look accurate. Let me hear what you say about temperature. Okay. 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 All right. So everybody said something correct. What I would like to add is temperature is simply um, the warmness or the coolness of the shot. Okay. And temperature is related to a camera feature known as white balance. So remember I said as an editor, you should know few things about camera. So if you are checking your white balance, you see something like 4,000K, 5,000K, 6,000K. If If you are reducing your white balance, it gets more blue. Your shot looks more blue and cool. When you increase your white balance, your shot looks more warm. So, like they said, a warmer temperature would represent, let's look at it, look more like a sunset vibe, like evening time. So, let's see. So, if we were to make this temperature a bit warmer, it's looking more like the sun is really up, right? And is more into the middle of the day or the end of the day, sunset and all that. But if we wanted to mimic this, and the editor is like, I shot this during the day, but make it look like night for me. And you're like, okay. So you may want to bring the temperature to the cool side, right? And maybe even drop the brightness a bit. And you would start looking like an evening shot. So the moonlight, for example, is more on the cool side of temperature, while sunlight is more on the warm side of temperature. The natural, fluorescent light is somewhere in between. Um, it's not as cool as that and all that. So temperature, basically, when you see your shot looking too yellow and warm, you may want to bring your temperature to the left a bit and compensate for that overly warm shot. So temperature again, if you push it to the extreme, the whites begin to look blue. Push to the other extreme, they begin to look red and very, very long. So there are times people just need their white to look a bit blue. So most times you just see a little bit of temperature to the right. Hue is similar to temperature, but hue it's green magenta tints. That's what we call that. So for hue, to the left you have more green in your shot. To the right you have more red or magenta in your shot. So again, white balance. I say white balance. Color grading is something you have to be sure on the screen you are using before you do color grading. You have to be sure that the screen will accurately represent your colors. So you have to be sure of that because let's see, let's put it on a maybe wider screen. Okay. Because on some screens, something may look really good, and on another screen, it looks really bad. So if you are doing color grading, be sure that you've matched, be sure that the color of your laptop screen is accurate as possible. There are ways to do that. If you go to your Intel graphics, you can actually fix the color of your screen so that it should. If you're a photo editor, that can be a problem. When you edit something that looks so good to you and you send it to your client because your color is not accurately represented. So that's so let's look at other things you can do in color grading. Let's go to HSL. HSL is very nice. This gives you specific control of specific colors. Okay, so in color grading, um, there is three properties of colors known as the hue, saturation, and brightness. It is also known as hue, saturation, and luminance. So there are times the brightness will be represented as luminance. Um, let me. Okay. So hue, saturation, and brightness is similar to hue, saturation, and luminance. So let's see what happens if we now we know that the grass is a bit green, right? So if we click on the green hue, we can actually go ahead and affect. For some reason, I'm not seeing the effect. Try it on the yellow. So, okay, look at the problem. So when you're editing, be sure of what you're doing. I'm actually selected my overlay layer. So all the drama I was doing was happening on top here. Let's come back here. So please, whenever you're editing, make sure you have selected what you want to select. So let me take this back to where it was. Okay. So this is what I was trying to check. So look at the greens have been affected. I successfully brought down the saturation of all the green. the shot. So just by understanding that, you've already started color grading because you can now choose to make greens to really pop, and then you can choose to make them look more blue or make them look more yellow. Are we seeing the difference? So when you have multiple colors in the scene, you have specific control of what those colors look like. So this is affecting the clouds, right? On the AC, affecting the clouds and the AC. So that's just a little bit of some of the color grading features you can do here. This is also important. You may want to raise the shadows to make your shot more bright. So shadows are usually the dark areas in the mid-tones. We have highlights, mid-tones, and shadows. So look at highlights are the brightest areas. If you raise your highlights, notice that the clouds will almost disappear. Again, what I'm seeing here is not what is here, so the screen matters. Okay? Contrast, more contrast would be like this, less contrast would be like this. So the training I actually wanted us to go through is, I was going to show you pictures side by side, and maybe I'll still find it, and you tell me what you think is wrong with the picture. Is it a contrast problem, saturation problem, and all that and all that. So if I find those slides, I will definitely pull them up. So, but for now, we have this. So is there anybody that understands, at least now you know how to color your shots better, right? So you can have saturation to the entire shot. And now whatever you do on one shot, if you really like it, I think I like more saturation. If you really like it, you can say apply to all. And it's going to apply it to every single shot for you. I have more colors for the clip. So that's that for Capcut color grading. So for the sake of I think we just have like 10 minutes to try to take a look at this other software, which is actually primarily a very good color grading software. So for those that are into production, this will probably be your go-to. This will probably be your go-to web software for color grading. So I'm just going to show you some of the stuff we did at on CapCut here, and you will notice why people run away from this one. But you shouldn't. So here, first of all, we have what we call nodes. So I'll make this part very short because people may get lost. So this is DaVinci Resolve. It's also free. That's the beauty of it. Well, I'm only showing you free stuff. So this is DaVinci Resolve, and it has a page called the color page, which is down here. So let's say you finish editing your stuff in CapCut, you've done your captions and all that, and you want to get a very nice color, especially if you shot in RAW. Let's see if I can find some RAW clips. Especially if you shot in RAW, you will want to use a software like DaVinci Resolve. Yeah, so RAW is like a flat. Anybody know what a RAW clip will look like? Anybody want to tell us? What do you say? Yes. Okay. So the advantage of RAW clips is what they call high dynamic range. I think I've moved this stuff out of line. So anyway, RAW clips would look like this. Let me just make this one. So maybe it would have the saturation desaturated. Maybe the contrast would go down to look something like this. Okay. So the raw clip, when you shoot it directly from your camera, this is how it's going to come. And you are now, yes. So when you use your black magic, your Sony, that's going to come. So it's now left for you to start adding saturation and contrast to get the clip back to its original form. Okay, so a quick overview of this interface for the few one or two persons that will not get lost on this. Okay. Um, we have again the preview window like in the last software. We have here, which you can actually use as your media pool, or you can have your presets and your LUTs down here. So for then you have down here your controls where you actually change the colors and all that. So you have your temperature, your tint, like the ones we saw on the other end. Then we have more controls here. Then we have waveform, waveform or scopes here. So basically, if you were to color grade on DaVinci Resolve, you want to start by creating what we call nodes. Nodes are like layers. So you want to start, your first node should be a node for your exposure. So, so exposure or brightness or anything to just make sure that's all you adjust there. Now, without nodes, you can actually do everything on one. The difference is if you're working on multiple clips, they may have different exposure and different white balance. So you may want to separate those edits so that it's easier to change as you are working on several clips. If you have ever tried to color grade a movie, you will understand that different lighting conditions look different. You want to match each shot. So, but let's pretend like we're only editing one. So I'll just stick with this one node and just hide that node section. So the color grading part starts here, right? So we have our temperature. See the same thing, it's getting too warm, right? So if you notice the number there, so this it's increasing, it's adding about 2,500 to the temperature, making it more warm. And we can keep going, right? Added 4,000 to the temperature. Otherwise, if we take it to the left, so I don't know, you can see what we're editing is down here, right? So if you take it to the left, it gets cool and almost wants to be completely blue. So you may prefer it a bit more cool than warm. I usually prefer more cool than warm. Same thing with tints. If you have some green in your shots too much, you may want to add some opposite of green, which is magenta, to your shot. You can also play with the contrast. And just like that, you have control of your colors. So let's see the before and after. So if you click on so I think to see the before and after, we have to disable the nodes. We have to come and disable it. If I disable this node, I'll see the before and after. Before and after. Okay. So I don't know. I don't want to go too much into this because many of us may not need this. But just know that it's very powerful. There's so much that you can do here. You can actually track stuff. So let's say I wanted to add a color to her face and just make sure it stays on her face. Because there's a lot of movement going on in the shot. You can actually choose to add, I'll come over here to power window and I can create one on her face. All right. So I can create something like this on her face. This will affect the feather of the effect. And anything I do inside this node will only affect that region of our face. So let's say I make the temperature of that place warm, right? So you notice only that region, temperature changing. And because she's moving, it's going to move out of it, right? But DaVinci Resolve will actually allow me to use another button called the tracker window, and it will try to track it both forward and backward so that it stays on our face. So if you are into, that's where it could stop because our face went out of frame. So if you are into more advanced production, you may find these tools more helpful and more control. Have more control, okay? Okay. And one more thing I like DaVinci Resolve for is, let's say you are trying to color grade to match something you've seen before. You can actually drag images here called stills. And if you right click on it, say play still, you can have a side-by-side look of something you are trying to color grade to match. This is another movie, right? Everything always. So this is helpful if you are doing a movie and all that, and maybe you like the way Breath of Life, the movie looked. You can just get some screenshot from Breath of Life, place it here, and use it to match your edit. So that by the time you are working on your own shot, let me disable this. So I've disabled that on our face. By the time you are working on my clips, so you can now begin to say, okay, I want to match this to look like that. Then, you know, we can start with the white balance. So you can be like, okay, this white balance is looking more warm. Check the temperature. It's beginning to get closer to how this looks. So the moment, by the time you are done adjusting, I did not look at lift, gamma, and gain. Lift is anything in the shadows. So if you put some colors in the lift, it's going to look at her black shirt, for example. I can add blues to it. I can choose to add colors to that. So basically, the point is in DaVinci Resolve, you can do more specific color grading and have more control. I think at this point, I've come to the end of the class. Any question? I have a question there. Here's the mic. So please have your questions. Your questions may help to answer some people's. Please let's appreciate the presence of the Winlos, Pastor, and Winnie Ojekere. Okay. So one more tutorials on this you find on my channel. So let's export this. Let's go to the export page and see what it looks like. And by the way, before you export, make sure you end your clip well because Capcut would export everything for you. For example, look how long um, this thing is, right? It will export it for you. So you have to make sure you cut, or let's just come here and cut everything. So I have to cut what we don't need and make sure it stops where I need it to stop. So that's where I want to stop. So as long as there's no other additional file there, it will stop there. And by the way, I think I'm going to fade out the, the last clip, right? So we can use opacity keyframe, okay, such that the last frame will just go to black. We have something like this. So export. So it's going to ask me where to store it and the file to name it. So I'll call this test video and I'll export this. If you don't want to choose the bit space, you can just leave it as recommended or higher. Every other thing is okay. Resolution is okay as 1080. Frame rate is okay as 25. And we click on export. So depending on how long and how heavy your project is, how long it's going to take to export. So once the export is successful, you can say open folder, take it to where the exported file is. You have a complete video. Okay? You forgot to apply stabilization on that clip, but you saw the shortcut. Yeah. Want to stabilize that. Okay. All right. So question and answer time. Maybe I missed something that you really wanted to learn. Joshua. The one person at the back. Please, can you just tell us your name so we can be more interactive? So he said, what is the difference between color correction and color grading? Color grading can refer to everything, both color correction and color grading. But technically, color correction is where you are trying to match your shot to look as real as possible to the scene where it was shot at. So for example, your camera was set to be slightly overexposed. In color correction, you bring down the exposure, fix the white balance, make sure it's looking good, but you've not begun to add maybe blues to your highlights or blues to your shadows. You're not adding any creative touch yet. You're just fixing any error that may be in the shot. That's color correction. So color grading is now a step after color correction, where you are now adding some extra, maybe you are making saturation a little bit higher, and then like we did for the grass, you want to make the grass from green to look more blue, you're now color grading. That's the difference. So color grading is a creative extra that you add to your color correction. Any other question? Okay, if it's possible to extract the color from another video and use it in your video, um, yes and no. What There are some softwares like in DaVinci, you can actually attempt to match shots. This place called color match is actually a way, if you understand it, you can actually impute some properties here and it will try to make your video, but it doesn't always work. So no, because what you need is called a LUT, okay, LUTs, called lookup tables. Basically, these are color presets. So many times what people do, professional video editors, is when they edit something that looks really good, they save it as a LUT and then they can sell it. So if I did something really complex here now, it's just two nodes. If I did a very complex color grading here, and I don't want to have to follow that step again, yes, because I did the editing before. So I can actually click on I actually right click on my clip and you see this option that says generate LUTs. Okay. I can use this to create a file that that I can reuse. I can create a file that I can actually reuse. And so if you even check here, there are some already pre-existing LUTs for different cameras. So the answer is what you're actually asking for. They are like presets that already has pre-existing colors and color grading on it that you can apply on clips without wasting time. Okay. So you can either use already made ones or you can, in the process of your own process, create some. And Capcut also has them. You notice the first thing we saw in CapCut here was when we went to adjustments, see an option for LUTs here. It's currently set to none. So if I go and create a LUT or generate a LUT from DaVinci, I can import it into CapCut and that look will be applied here. So that's how it works. Did that answer the question? Yes. Okay. For ease of editing. Okay. So I would ask, depending on what platform you want to use the video on. So if you say a professional filmmaker, you have a digital camera and you have an iPhone. The first thing you want to check is the quality of both of them. If you have maybe an iPhone 12, 13, 14, and they have 4K, or even their 1080p is very good. So for example, there are some features of cameras like how sensitive are they to light? So if you're in a low light region, is your iPhone going to take a good picture better than the camera? Most times it will, especially if maybe your camera is on a kit lens, right? If your camera is on a prime lens, you'll probably get a better looking low light feature. So I think there is no right answer. Since you mentioned iPhone, there are some phones, don't even compare. Just stick with your digital camera because it will give you a better quality. But some iPhones would actually still give you a better quality. So it's now, okay, is it a Sony camera with a prime lens on it? You cannot match that with iPhone. It will beat the iPhone. Okay? Or is it a Canon camera that is majorly for, for photography, but it can also video and it has a kit lens on it? You may want to use your iPhone. But one, your iPhone may have internal video stabilization better than the camera. So your iPhone may just automate things for you. If you don't understand cameras very well and you go and shoot with it, you will end up using the wrong ISO. It can be on ISO 3000, and when you go to edit, everything is noise, right? But if it's your iPhone, iPhone will automatically give you the best. And it also has its own internal processing that it tries to move the noise and everything. So if you don't want to go through a lot, what I recommend is if you can afford an iPhone and you have a YouTube channel, it's nothing too serious. Then use an iPhone to shoot and edit your videos. Because number one, the iPhone will both shoot it and edit it, right? But if you use a camera, you have to shoot, you have to start worrying about a separate mic, worry about there's so much to worry about when you have a camera. Okay. So the iPhone may save you a lot of time using the iPhone. So the quality, it's some iPhones can really, really stand out in quality. Okay? Yes. Okay. If there's some, it's not everybody. I believe not everybody have a great flair for challenging stuff. There's something called a learning curve, right? There are some softwares that you would spend time watching tutorials and practicing before you can even get to a point where you're comfortable with the software. DaVinci has a higher learning curve. So it may take you weeks to understand the interface more and all that, while Capcut we just did it in one class. So Capcut has a lower learning curve. They simplified a lot of things very well. Things that some transitions that would stress you out in DaVinci Resolve are baked into CapCut as templates and presets and all that. So what I would recommend for someone that doesn't have time, editing is not your full-time job, and you just want to be able to put clips together and post something out there, social media stuff, just stick with CapCut. But if you want to go into professional editing, you want to build your resume on editing, you want to do professional color grading, then you can still know CapCut. Because again, if you know one, you know the other, right? We saw that the interfaces are quite similar. You can still know CapCut, but then encourage yourself to learn the more complex softwares like DaVinci for their extra features. Like I said, the color page of DaVinci. They also have some very nice advanced audio page. And they just have a little bit extra that you wouldn't be able to do in CapCut. So as your need increases, then you may want to take a more complex software. Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro. Adobe Premiere Pro. Okay. Okay. So if you notice what we try to do in this lesson is as opposed to learning the software, we try to learn the idea behind it. So remember we talked about cutting action. That's irrespective of software. On phone, on Premiere Pro, it's still the same cutting of action, right? So I try to make sure we're not necessarily learning a software, but we're learning the kind of what you should think about as an editor, okay, and how to edit. So if your company uses Premiere Pro, because Premiere Pro is industry standard for many years, people are gradually gravitating to CapCut, to DaVinci rather, but most companies will not, they can't start training all their editors to start using DaVinci, right? So if your company uses Premiere Pro, then learn Premiere Pro and be good at it. So the interface will just be slightly different. For example, those things we are controlling, the scale and position, look at it up here in Premiere Pro. It's under effect controls up here. Okay. So Premiere Pro is still more technical than CapCut, but it still does the basic stuff can still be done here. So the keyframing we are talking about in CapCut is this timer icon here. Want to keyframe stuff? You just toggle this, right? When you move in time, you toggle it again, and you change the property. You automatically have. So it's though there are different softwares, they have similar properties. They have similar properties. So we still have a timeline, like in the other ones. Right? Down here is your timeline. You still have your preview and all that. But I think Premiere Pro gives you more control. Like you can decide to move things around. So on your screen, your effect controls may be on the right side. So Premiere Pro will allow you to drag things. I can just drag effect control and drop it here. Now it's on the right. Then where my media files are, it's called the project on Premiere Pro. So project is my media pool. So on Premiere Pro, I have my project, I have my timeline, I have my effect control. So this interface, you can work with this. So the only thing that will change is once you learn one software, You just have to come and understand the interface of another software, and you can transition between them depending on your needs. So if you started with Premiere Pro, you can stick with it. You have your tools here. You have your blades too, razor tool, and you are cutting. Same thing. Click and delete. So record, yes. Yes. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to post it. All right. So you're sending my account. That's fine. So I believe I believe that's about it. He will, is yeah. Take it to me. So in all, I just want to summarize that video editing is a very essential skill in this time. To me, graphic design and video editing are just something everybody should. Like, if you want to, if maybe you want to work as my assistant now, or you want to work as anybody's assistant, and you are skilled in video editing and graphic design, why not? They'll take you, right? It's then when they want to know, are you a good typewriter? Do you type fast? Those are not really important skills anymore. So if you can just basically make some videos for someone, cut it and show them, you are employable. Okay? With the advent of skits and all that, they constantly need video editors. So, and it's also universal skill, such that, um, like yesterday, now, I was teaching someone in New York video editing. So there are people that are going through, it's the same software everywhere. So they may just have issue with Premiere Pro, and then they're looking for tutors online, and then you can register for such platforms to tutor people online. So they may have issues, and you are helping them with their editing problem. So it's universal, it's remote, it's something I recommend you take seriously. You may not need it now, but when you have a business and a brand, you will probably eventually need it. Right? You want to say something? Okay. Okay, that's a very good question. Anybody want to try and answer the noise part? What causes noise in video? Said ISO. Okay? Yes, it's correct. So ISO is your primary cause of noise in video. ISO is simply your camera sensitivity to light. So depending on the camera quality, if it's a camera that was made maybe 2024 or 2020 or more recent cameras, they have very good sensitivity to light such that you can use a very high ISO and still have little or no noise. So this is how it is. If you are in a dark room like this and you want to take a shot, you've brought down. So we're not going to go into this, but there's something called the exposure triangle, right? We have ISO, we have shutter speed, and we have aperture. So all these affect brightness or exposure, but they have their downside. So the downside to ISO affecting exposure is noise. So if you use low ISO, so this is just the recommended, the rule of thumb, use as low ISO as possible. If you use your high ISO, maybe 3000, you will be introducing noise into your clip. You get a brighter clip, but you introduce noise. So you want to make sure to keep your ISO as low as possible. That's how to avoid noise in a clip. Rounding off, right? Okay, so there's a question there. Um, then to remove noise, okay, there are different softwares have their different ways of removing noise. If you're in DaVinci,
If this clip had noise, which it doesn't, but if it had noise, you can come over to this section that says motion effect. So this is temporal NR. It's actually noise reduction. Okay. So if you just put maybe 2 frames here and raise this to maybe anything between 10, 20, automatically you'd have less noise on your shot. So it will make your clip kind of lag if you are still editing it. So you do this after you are done editing, before you export, you reduce noise and export. So it will to reduce your noise for you. Okay? That's how to remove noise from clips. All right. So that should be the last question. Any other last question? Last question. Okay, so we have, you're not in a hurry to leave anyway. Sorry. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 questions, and that will be the end of the lesson. Also, if you have a question for Miss Laura here, we're rounding off. Okay, so let's pass the mic. We're supposed to close by 12, right? All right. All right. So I'm glad we all stayed up this long. Nobody slept off on me. All right. You go. If the frame rate is good for what? For a DP, for a clip. Okay. Um. So I said 24 frames per second is standard for the clips you want to watch. But when you are shooting it, you shoot based on what you want to edit. So you shoot high frame rate if you intend to slow down the clip. So if let's say you want someone to jump up in the sky and you want to catch them jumping up in slow motion, you probably want to shoot that at 60 frames per second, right? Or something higher. But when you are exporting, you still export it as 24 or 25. That's frame rate. So higher frame rate is when you want to slow down the clip. So next person with the mic. Yes, light flakes. Okay. Are you using an iPhone? If it's an Android, you can use SnapTube. You can get SnapTube from Google and you can. No place to know. You have to Google it. So Android users, I don't know how you download the iPhone, oh, but Android users, you can use SnapTube. Okay, so someone can also send you some links or send you SnapTube via Zender. Okay, your question. Go ahead, man. InShot, right? InShot is excellent. I don't know about their auto caption, but I think by now many of these softwares begin to you should have auto caption if you update them. So again, what made Capcut really trend is that we like their auto captions. So I don't know if InShot is that good yet in generating captions for us and giving us nice fonts. But InShot is a pretty good alternative to Capcut. Motion graphics, motion graphics. Okay, when you say motion graphics, I'm thinking of After Effects. So After Effects is probably better for CapCut. Again, so long you can keyframe stuff, you can motion stuff, right? You can use CapCut to just put some templates around each other. You keep framing your things in and out of the frame. That's motion graphics. So any software can work, but After Effects is more into motion graphics, but you can do it on any software. So long it has the ability to keyframe stuff, you can do it. Was there any other question? No other question. Yeah. Introduction of characters, lower thirds. Is it like lower thirds or titles? Yes. Yes. So maybe end credits and all that stuff. Okay, there are templates for that in CapCut, and there are ways to do that. So let's say we wanted to, some of them are called lower thirds, right? We are trying to introduce a character or title you're seeing. So if we come to titles, these are all, I just use them, right? So if I press plus now, okay? So we could use this to title the short, the movie. So let's say the name of the video, right? So let's say training, Winlos training. Okay, so this would introduce this is a title. So usually when it's bold and centered, it's called a title. When it's smaller in the bottom left or bottom right, it's called the lower third. Okay. So let's look for one that we can maybe use. Did I answer your question? That's your question, right? So basically, you get the point. Let me use this as a lower third. So it's the position that matters. So this one now, I can bring it down here, and this could introduce characters. Maybe I'll put this where I popped into the frame, and maybe I could put my name on it. Okay. So you have that in every software. You have that in every software. All right, guys, we will not take more questions. You can meet me personally. You can get my WhatsApp number. Okay. Don't message me too much. So let me give you my office. So 0814 86. If you have questions, well, I recommend you use my YouTube channel. My writing clear enough. So my name is Android, cinematographer, content creator, artist, engineer. That's all. 0814 Okay. All right. I can clean it now, right? Yes. 17 Isaac Ibinosa is my name. Android is my band name. Look at my YouTube. Look at my YouTube. So on other platforms, it's Android Blast. On other platforms, it's Android Blast. But on YouTube, it's kind of It's Blast Creative Academy, and that's actually my name, Binosa Isaac Osaratin. Okay, are we good? Or you ask me personally? That's our question. Yeah. Okay, miss most of the class. But anyway, the class is over, so I don't know. Is there any session after this one? Okay. All right. Miss Laura, do you want to? Okay. Don't read this. I was here yesterday. Right? They've learned a lot. Hold my phone and take pictures. Okay. Questions to ask. It's at, my studio is at. Well, if you message me on WhatsApp, like,